Okay, so for today's training, I have two things. One is DSS, another one is EVS, and we are going to see ways we can add EVS. So first, let me initialize EVS. So let me just share that. This one, share. When I share this, you see I have EVS here and initialized. So the first step is to initialize. So I'll select it, then click initialize. Of course, it will confirm the information about EVS, then I input the password. In this instance, I'll just use admin123 and also admin123. Then I can choose to reserve an email address or leave. Then the video standard I'll use is PAL. That's what you use here. Then I can allow it to check for updates and connect the cloud service. Then it will give me an error that initialization succeeded, but cloud access setting automatic detection, so that we can configure later. So I'll just finish. Then we need to change the IP address of this EVS. I have an IP address in mind. So I'll come to search setting and input the same password that I used. Then come back to the EVS and then click edit. Then I input the new IP address. Then the subnet mask. Then the gateway. So let me explain. I input the password in search setting so that I can configure this and it automatically applies to my EVS. So when I press OK, it should synchronize my update and see. So let me just give it a second. If it doesn't work, I'll just repeat the same process. So it's saying network error, maybe timeout. So that is one way. Let me just see it again. Okay, let me try to edit again. I think it will give me an error. So the next thing I'm going to do is just log into this web interface and change the IP address manually. So I'll click on web. When I click on web, this is the screen that pops up on my browser. This is the screen. So once it pops up, so I'll input the password, username and password that I just created, then log in. So the first thing I have to change the IP address. So I'll just come to this setting, then network. So I'll just modify from here. So I'll just call it 5 and then even test for the availability. So I've done a local test and there's no, that IP address is available. So once it's available, I'll just say okay. Then don't forget to input the correct DNS. In this case, I will use our Google DNS and alternate DNS. That is if you want to provision this service on a specific network. So I will input our DNS. So in future, I can have this EVS on my, so it's logging me out. So the next bit I'm going to have is to open PC app. If you don't have PC app, you just click download PC client at the bottom here, and then you're able to access it and log in to your EVS. So in my case, I already installed PC app, so I'll just share that. So this is the PC app. And in the PC app, I will input the IP address of my EVS. Then just press enter. It should be able to load my server so that I can do my configurations from there. So the username is the same. So the EVS is now live and running. So the next thing is to look at the EVS overview where we see 2 online users, 512 cameras, raid status, all this are available. Then we have system information. So the things like device information, legal information, storage, system resources, network maintenance, disk maintenance, then logs. We have some intelligent diagnosis, and of course the manager if I ever wanted to update or default this server. Then on the top, we have the overview of events, like the date and time. Always make sure that the time of the server is consistent. Then we have system notifications, one-click diagnosis, the buzzer. So if you have any alarms, this is where we'll get them. Like right now, it's giving me some alarm that some device is offline. So it's still fine because I've not plugged. You see why it's saying it's offline, because some ports have not been plugged in, some hard disks have not been inserted. So I'll get such kinds of warnings. Now, the next part is to configure storage. And I told you can use direct storage and also network storage. So we'll start with direct storage. So under direct storage, I just come here to camera and then I add. But before I add, I must put a connection password so that the server automatically updates the migration.
Yes. What is the difference between the network storage, selecting network storage, and the normal storage? What is that advantage of using one over the other?
That's where I am at. Just 1 second. Okay, so to explain between direct storage and network storage, this is what I'm actually doing. So one is direct storage. So we do direct storage, then the next bit we go to network storage. So let us just follow and then we can now see the difference and then understand. But what we're doing is on direct storage, we add cameras direct to EVS by the IP address. So I'll just add maybe 1, 2 cameras. Then I press OK. It will add by itself. Then I'm able to complete. So both of them will come online if the credentials are correct. So like this one and this. So I'll have them online. So direct storage is like using the EVS as your NVR. Okay. So both of them are now online and their record status has been updated. So once we add these cameras, I can just go to setting and then to storage. And then I show you this storage where we check so we have this group where we set which hard disks to record which cameras. Then we have record control where I choose which recording I want. So I can set it to record the mainstream and also the substream. So you just schedule, and then the plan could be record in general. We have record events. Then you can set the pre-recording time. So to set pre-recording time, I just come to this gear icon, especially when I'm recording on motion and such, you need to set pre-record maybe 10 seconds so that before it happens, it starts to record. Then we have something else. ANR is called automatic network replenishment. So you need to enable this function. It's grayed out. I'll just leave it for now. But when you enable ANR, that's automatic network replenishment, then you're able to update your videos in the event that we have a challenge with, let's say, retrieving files when the network is slow. So when the network comes back online, you're able to retrieve using the ANR function. So I've just done the setting and applied to both. Let me see again for this second camera if the setting picked. Yeah, it picked. So that's it. Then we have some basic configuration things like when storage is full, overwrite or stop recording. Of course, you can configure this and set to enable files. Then delete expired files. So you can set it to delete or not. Then we can always configure the image storage through linkage or always use, then you apply. Then we have transfer record. This one says this recorder automatically downloads video stored on camera after disconnection. You can also create download tasks to manually download these videos. So to do record control, I just add the cameras that I need. Then I set the start and end time. Then I can manually download from the cameras, and that's it. So when you set, it starts to download videos from the cameras. So that is in the event that you realize footage is missing and you need it, so you can just use transfer record. Then video retrieval is a plan that you can set to automatically retrieve and download videos in the event that maybe every day during the day is busy. So at night when the bandwidth is open, you use video retrieval. So you just add, let's say channel number 1 to channel number 2. Then you set the start time, maybe 8 p.m. to maybe 6 a.m. So you can set it to be retrieving, and then we say the IP address of the camera. Let me get one. Okay, I'll use 36. Then I input the credentials. This could be the IP address of my camera or my recorder. So let me see if I have a recorder here. I have 1.99. Then I input the password. Then the remote channel to retrieve is 1 and 2, for example, and then I set OK. I have to do it in multiple tasks. So generally that is the whole point. So we can set it to retrieve maybe from 8 p.m. to midnight. Then I set the port, I set the credentials. Then I choose which channels to retrieve. Then with this, I'll be able to retrieve until 11:59 every day. But now we can add another one to start maybe at midnight to 6. So it's not allowing me to do the same thing. So once so I'll just create the retrieval plan. Then let me see if I can view. I have the plan list to start at night. So you can schedule like that. In the event you need to retrieve videos from the recorders on a scheduled basis. You can also just add it as a single task. So that is one way. Then when we have our camera on EVS, because I called it direct storage, I'll show you how we would add this EVS to DSS. So I'll select DSS client and present it. Then now when we are logged into DSS, we go to configuration, this menu here, then device. Then I will add it here. Let me just see if it's added here. It's not, so I'll add it here. So I'll click on add, then I'll input the IP address. The password. Of course, the EVS is still encoder, so I can add it directly like that. Then I go to next. So I'll just call it EVS. Oh, let me just confirm the organization I've added is STS, so it's okay. Then once I have that, you see it has retrieved the two cameras that I added to it. Then I confirm the time zone is correct. So in this case, I'll use Nairobi. So when I use Nairobi, it will update the correct time every time I need to retrieve footage. So if I select STS, I'll see EVS is here. Then when I have this EVS online, I can monitor it. So if I come to monitoring center, I should be able to retrieve it and monitor it without issue. So I have my two cameras, which I'm able to monitor. I should be able to play back if we've started recording. So yes, we've started recording some footage. So I can play back the cameras. So this is it. So just that simple. This is now direct storage mode. Now, but with direct storage, it means that the EVS is doing its storage and DSS is retrieving from the same storage. So that is why we use, if you look here, we have stored on device. But now at some point, you might want to attach this as a network disk. We call it network storage. So that's the second bit of this storage that I'm going to show you. So first, let me just delete this. Actually, I don't have to delete it. I don't have to. I can still make, because I talked, it can work in both modes, both direct and network storage. So the next bit is we come here home, and then under configuration, there is storage. Remember, DSS supports adding network disk by iSCSI. In future, we are going to even support some more protocols. But for now, we support this one. So we are going to provision this from the EVS, and then now come to add it to DSS. So stay tuned for this. I will also show you some one or two things once we configure that. So I'll just pull back our EVS. Then I take you through how to configure the network disk. So when you come back home, we have camera, network, storage, account, event, system. So we need to configure RAID first so that we enhance our data security. Of course, in direct storage, I didn't configure, but you can still configure the same thing. So you just follow this procedure. So I'll come to storage, and then under disk, I'll check my hard disks. So I had already formatted this hard disk, so no need to format again. But if you're doing it for the first time, just select this and then format them so that automatically all the hard disks start afresh if it's a new deployment. Then the next thing, you go to RAID. Now we need to configure RAID. RAID is a redundant array of independent disks. The whole point of having RAID is if one hard disk failed, the other one can replace it. That's why we have it running like that. So I will start by adding one. Because I have several hard disks, so I'll select maybe 1, 2, 3. I'll be using RAID 5. RAID 5. Then I'll say working mode is self-adaptive. You can do other options like load balance and all that, but I'll just use this. So it's going to consume extra some bit of my storage, like 1.81 TB. So if I had maybe 10 TB, I'll be doing almost less to 2 TB. But the whole point is so that it can handle my data security. So then it's asking me to. So when creating RAID group, you name the RAID, you select RAID and then name it. So in this case, it's named by default RAID 5.1. You can name it however you choose. You can call it maybe security group 1 and all that. So once I have that, it's giving me a warning that disk 1, disk 2, disk 3 is surveillance hard disk. To ensure stability of RAID, enterprise hard disks are recommended. But because I'm doing a demonstration, this is not vital. But when you're doing the actual deployment, even when we give you these servers, we always recommend using enterprise hard disk because of the performance and long operation ability. So I'll just proceed and add. So once it tells me operation successful, if I refresh, it will come here. But remember, we have how many hard disks? 6 hard disks. So if I configure the first one, the first group with RAID 5, then I can add another one. So it's giving me disk 4, 5, 6. So I'll configure this as RAID 5, 2, and then go to next. It's giving me the estimated space is 7.27 and still the same warning about surveillance hard disk. But in this case, it's not really a big challenge for me, as I explained earlier. Now, this will pop up here the moment it finishes creating. So we have to, then it starts to format and make the RAID to be active. Then once that is done, you need extra hard disk to run as hot spare. So that's why we have hot standby, where you click and add, select one disk. In this case, I have 6 hard disks. So unless I use, but the whole point of having hot standby is so that when we configure RAID and one hard disk fails, the hot standby hard disk picks in place. So we always recommend adding hot standby. I will not add for today, just for today, but in future, please consider using this. But now I want to show you some things. Once this RAID is created, we have a lot of alarms that have popped up here. The first alarm is cameras detecting motion. Okay, I'll disarm for now. Then the second one, under system notifications, we have partition error end. So while you're doing configurations, you'll get these notifications for errors and warnings. So you can work with them, so you'll always be up to date. Then when I click on one-click diagnosis, I can diagnose my server. But let's continue. So once I've configured my RAID, and I've also configured my hot standby, the next bit is to now provision this RAID to the network. So we call them disk groups or network disk groups. I'll come back here and then come to network storage. Network storage will start, but I want to do it, instead of starting from the first one, let me start with this from the last one. Reason being, I cannot create a pool without adding a user and I don't have a user. So we start with sharing settings. We make sure to enable iSCSI in this case. You can enable these other protocols if you need to use, but not with DSS. DSS only works with iSCSI for now. Then once I have that, I'll apply and it's successful. Then I go to shared user. I will create a user. I'll call this user EVS. The service this user has access to is Then the password, I'll give this user It must be a very secure password because of network storage. So the conventional admin 123 usually doesn't work here. So I'll create a secure password EVS 123. Though in future, don't use this password. Just create your own secure password. EVS 123456789. So that's long enough and secure enough for EVS. EVS 123456789. And then I can add my remarks. So just not to forget this password, I will key it in here. But I'm not saying that for you not to forget you key it here. Please save it separately. Then I will apply. Then once I have this user running, I'll now come to the storage pool and then now create pool from the RAID groups that we had. So I will start with this one. Then I just call it pool A. Then it asks data will be cleared, so it's fine. I have no data on it, so I'll leave it as that. I want to show you the essence of having these pools. Used total space, this used pool. Then I'll create another pool again. This is based on the RAID group, so I call it pool B. I think I prefer the underscore naming convention, so I'll just delete this one and create it again using the underscore naming convention. A, then select and apply. So I'll have to, it's failed, so I'll just try again. Of course, it picks from the RAID volumes that we have. So now it's created successfully. So I have two storage pools, pool A and pool B. Then now I come here to shared folder. Remember this concept I told you last time. Let me just pull it up so that I prefer to explain with the visual bit of it. So this concept I told you last time about when we add a disk, we can only make it, we can make it three types of files, either video file, images and files, and then incident files. So we are going to make this sure that our storage pools on EVS are supporting this. So I'll come back to EVS. We have two storage pools. Now let's create, I would prefer to have three shared folders. So I'll come to shared folder now, I can create. When you're asked, you select from pool A, for example, we see, I just need to confirm something before I do that. Pool A has 1.8 TB. So this one we can use for images and files and incident. So I'll use it for that. So I'll select add, then use pool A. So it has 1.8. So I'll call it images disk. For images disk, I will give it 1 GB. That is 1,000, or 1 TB, 1,000 GB. So I'll input here 1,000. So it means we'll remain with 800 GB. But look at the unit here, it's GB. So you must input it in that same format. Then I call it the image disk. So you create this kind of folders based on how much storage you have. Then the block size, I'll leave it as the biggest, allow it right back, and then I assign this user, EVS. You remember the user we created? Then I apply. Again, after creating this, I know it's for images. Now I'll create one for incident files. I will select from pool A, and it will give me the remaining space. So it's remaining 861 GB. You see, you can create as many pools as you prefer. incident, yes. So I'll call it incident. Yes. And I'll explain the difference between these types of disks. And then I select the user, EVS, who you remember we created at some point. Then once I have this, I will apply. So I have now images, incident files. Now the last one I'll create is to record now videos. And we remember from pool B. So I'll call videos folder. Then I give it the total space 7450. Then I call it videos storage folder. So I'm just trying to give it the other things as default and then keep it. Now we have 3 disks that are available, and then we can access them over the network. So these are shared folders. Now we go back to just to verify under storage, under network storage. So we took 4 steps. Number 1 was enable iskazi, then go to shared user, create a shared user. So you can have multiple shared users. Then you come to storage pool. Then you come to shared folder. Now the next part is to add it to DSS. So I come to new to DSS, client, share. If you don't know how I got here, you come to home, then configuration, then you come to storage. When you come to storage, we can add a network disk. So the IP address of the server is 192.168.1.5. Then the mode is user mode. Username we have created just called EVS from the EVS. Then I say the password I will use EVS 123456789. Then I click add. Let's see if it will load anything for us. Saying connection failed. User password are correct. Okay, let me try again. Still failing. So let me check on my EVS if there's anything I'm missing. Okay. Just to ensure that I don't struggle with this at this point, I'm going to delete the EVS from here just to make sure it may not be giving me any issues. Then I come back to the storage, the same storage. Then try to add again. So it's failing. But this is the process. This is actually exactly how it should be. So once we add here, I need to troubleshoot and see what's really making it to behave that way. So I'll go back to EVS. Then I come to network storage. So iskazi is enabled. Shared user, I have a shared user. Let me just change the password. So I'm just trying to see if I missed anything. Then I check the storage pool is okay, 2 storage pools. Then 3 shared folders from the same. I need to scan the port just to confirm. So I'll just pull this command and try to connect to the iSCSI just to confirm that I can really see it. Telnet is enabled. So I'll go to telnet 192.168.1.5 port the port 7143. Okay. So that is the challenge I think I'm facing. The default iSCSI ports are not really open, so I need to open them. But that is how you configure storage, and then you add to DSS. So I'll figure out that I need to open these ports on my router, or I will log into DSS client by use of a local IP address and see if it will give me anything different. So let me share the DSS client. And then I use this local client and see if I can be able to add. So once logged into DSS, I'll come to configuration, and then I'll come to storage. Network disk, I will add 192.168.1.5. Then I'll use user mode, EVS. The password was EVS 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's what I created with. Let me see. So it's still giving me, I think I have a bug somewhere on DSS because of the ports. So once we add that, generally, once it's successful, you'll come to, this will look like what we have here. So you need to initialize the different types of files. So I'll just come here. For example, the last one was incident file. So you select the incident file and then say, okay, then you format the disk. So in the event we start recording any incident files and all that, they will be saved to that disk. That's how you configure storage, direct storage and network storage. I'm going to troubleshoot this and I will do an update on the same. If we have time, we can also join into that. But first, I think we have a small error from DSS side. So I think that brings me to the end of the goal for the planned training. So I don't know if you have any questions.
Yes. How do we control the channels that the client have, or check if they have enough channels when we're adding cameras or NVRs into the DSS?
Sorry?
DSS, how many channels does it support in general?
DSS. So the
Yes.
DSS 7016 you have is supporting 2000 channels, but on any DSS deployment, we can do 2000 channels on a single server, and then we do multi-server of up to 10 servers supporting 20,000 cameras.
Okay. So there is no limit to how many NVRs you can add as long as you're not exceeding the
No,
number of
there is a limit. You see, it is 2000 channels, but
2000.
1,000 devices per server. So it means if I have cameras, I can only put a maximum of 1,000 cameras. But if I have NVRs, I can use them to configure and add up to 2,000 cameras. So there's that variation you must be keen on.
Great. So there is no problem on the DSS side as far as I have the server that supports the number of cameras that I need, right?
Yes.
The 701. As long as I have
So,
that.
yeah, so there should not be a challenge based on that. Also, you also check, because this is what we do here, helping you to do such kinds of configurations. Things like when you configure DSS to record, we must factor in bandwidth, because let's say DSS 7016 is only limited to 600 Mbps. So even if I have 2000 channels, I still must meet that minimum 600 Mbps, or I'll be required to get an extra server. So you must always be keen on that, and we can always help you to calculate such, so that we give the correct configuration to the end user.
Okay. So what does that mean? If the client, if the TPS is not the same, you cannot add more again.
Yes, if you deplete, let's say I give you a bandwidth of 600 Mbps. If you have cameras that will pull 500 Mbps, you see that is fine. But when it goes to 601, again, it's not going to, you're going to start having cameras hanging and such. So you'll need an extra server. Again, I always recommend that if it's a 600 Mbps, you leave at least 20% room, so that in the event network becomes abnormal or too high, it can still handle. So you don't just put, if it supports 600 Mbps, you put all cameras supporting 600 Mbps. You will start getting degraded quality of service.
And how do we check the current TPS?
From home,
Uh-huh.
then I go to maintenance center. I should be able to see a lot of analytics on my cameras, on my server. So we have resource monitoring, the server status. So we'll see the services, device status. So how many devices are abnormal, the network status. So like here we have 2 switches, and then alerts, any alerts. So you can even set alerts for such. Then analysis, device update. I need to show you where we see the network bandwidth.
Yeah.
Then what else? So like right now it's saying network status is normal. There's something always available on maintenance center, but this has been updated for storage. New today. I usually have it somewhere. It gives me like that overview of how network has been consumed. Yes, here. You see, it will give me the CPU usage, RAM usage. Like in this case, we have depleted RAM. It's really running at an optimal consumption. Then this is the disk, storage disk, the network throughputs, what is sent and received. So you see, I can see we are receiving 46 Mbps and 1.1 Mbps. If you look at the data sheet of DSS, it will tell you how this has been set. Like DSS, the current server I have here is supporting 600 Mbps sending and 600 Mbps receiving. So when you check this kind of status, you can know exactly what is happening to your server.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. So we'll have to go back always to the manual of the EVS and ensure that the TPS is not exceeded against the current analysis.
Sorry?
I'm just saying the EVS, we have to go back and check the manual, what TPS it supports, so that it doesn't, we can check whether it's in line with the capacity of the EVS or not.
Let me show you. I think that's something that's really easy to check. Where is my browser? Okay. So on the official Dahua website, which I've pulled up, we have this. If I come to products under storage, in your case, I think it is EVS 7124. Yes, I think it's this one. But whichever it is, you can see like 512 channels, 1024 Mbps. Then for OnVIF, this. So you get all these bandwidth requirements that it can support even before you choose the server. That's why we always collect the requirements. Then again, if I go to DSS under software, I scroll to DSS. Then I go to DSS, for example, 7016. I should be able to see the data sheet here. So I'll download this data sheet. And then I'll share that data sheet. So when I share this data sheet, you will see this. Performance specifications. Under performance specification, you'll see general recording plans, 3000 events, map, so many things. But I want to open the exact bandwidth. I need to, where is the bandwidth? I think it should be somewhere among the first specifications.
I think it's 600.
Yes, it is 600 Mbps. I'm just trying to see where they have given the
Go down.
specification.
Go down. I think I saw somewhere. Yep, somewhere here. Up. Yep. You see under the storage.
Yes, here.
Yeah, that should, yep, that's
600 Mbps per server. But like DSS 7016, it supports up to how many servers? 5. DSS 7016, you can do a network of 5 servers. So it is 600 Mbps times 5. Then if I have more than that, we recommend using DSS Professional, the software itself. Okay.
So this is free as long as you have the server.
Yes. DSS Professional is not free. It is licensed.
This one we're looking at, the DSS 701. Is it a free version or a paid version?
It comes with all licenses activated, so you don't have to pay for the licenses.
Ah, okay.
Yes.
It comes with the server.
Like if we look at the capacity it has,
let
me just download the comparison sheet. I think that one makes it even easier. So when I go to the website, I go to compare products. I should be able to download the DSS comparison. So this comparison will show me like the different DSS Express free version, license version, DSS Pro, DSS 4004, and 7016. So you'll see like how many users can access, even compare the capacity. So let me search for the bandwidth. You see, media transmission, we have 200 Mbps, DSS Pro, 600 Mbps. I think that's not the only one. Outgoing bandwidth, 200, then 600 Mbps for DSS Pro and DSS 7016. So there's different comparison, like for media transmission, 6000 Mbps for DSS Pro, but for DSS 7016 is 3000 Mbps. So there's that variation that we checked based on the type of product and service that we are using. Okay.
Okay. Great. Thank you.
Thank you. So thank you for your time. I'm going to see the error I faced. when adding this EVS, and then I'll come back to you.
Can we, before we go to that error, can we go to how to create the video wall? I think that section is also, we try to manage it. But it doesn't work.
Or how to create a video.
Yep.
Okay, just give me 1 minute.
Okay.
I go back to check if my decoder is online. So I'll just check under devices, STS. We still have it online. So remember how to add the NVD, the decoder. So you just input the IP address, the port, and then the device type is video wall control. Then you can see all the information. Now I'll go to monitoring center. Then I'll go to video wall. Then now I already have one, but I'll delete it so that we create. So I'll just come here to add video wall. Remember what I have in the showroom is a 2x2 video wall. So I'll just turn on my monitors. Just give me
Hold on. So they have the video wall has a different type. So 2x2, 4x4, 8x4, right?
Yes, we do. And it's not the logic I'll do on a 2x2 is the same logic you'll do on a 3x2. Is the same logic that we'll do on maybe a 3x3. So based on the variation.
Okay.
So I have my monitors on. So to create, let's say, a 3x2 video, of course, you must have a decoder that has that. So I'll come to custom split, and then I say 3 rows, 2 columns. That is one way. So this is a 2x3. I want a I want a 3x2, 3 columns. Okay, like this. Then I can create the video like this. But now in this case, I don't have the monitor, so I cannot bind. So I'll just do a 2x2. So I'll just use this. So you can manually edit or just do the way I'm doing. So once you select that, if your Windows is not here, you just come to manually edit. Then I go to next step. So the next thing is to add the decoder channels. So you need to know which screen is on which card. So like for my case, I know main card 1 is here, main card 2 is here. I know this one is here, then this one is here. So I have 4 screens that I'm covering. Then I go to finish. So now I have my video called 2x2, but it's telling me video source has not been bound. So the first thing is I can put my view just here, and I'll pop up another monitoring center and then pull up these cameras. Let me just see if I can see my screen. Because I want to see the demonstration on the same. This one is not showing me that side. And then I get also the PTZ. I'll also get the feature. Then pull in the screen. So back to the monitoring center. To have my view on one camera on all the screens, I'll just come to this. And then I drag this camera, or let me use one here. This one, and then I add it there. Then now I can just apply it. But one thing is, when I apply, of course, it will update my video with that one camera, but there's going to be one challenge. I have applied, but if I close my client, it does not work. So instead of applying always, decode to all. So the last option at the bottom here. So if I click decode to all, it updates my video, and then now I can save it. I maybe call it single camera view. So that is one way. Then I can create another one. This one, instead of having one camera everywhere, I'll split it into the 4 logical monitors. Then on each, I'm going to maybe split this one again into 4. So I'm just trying to build the logic. Also, this one I can also split maybe into 4. So I've done this just to do for the purposes of demonstration. This one, I split it into maybe 8. Saying the split is exceeded. So I'll just maybe use 4. So I'll have it like this. So I start with the PTZ. I have this camera here. So I'm just dragging and dropping the cameras. So I'll just add more so that I make sure I consume all my channels. But now in real life application, you make sure that you populate the cameras based on the customer requirement. Then one more camera here. Then once I have this, if you look at the video right now, it's only viewing one camera. So I want to apply this. So I can save this maybe as task 2. To save tasks is you can easily switch between the tasks on top here. So you can have as many tasks as the data sheet specifies. Then once I have this, I'll just decode it to all and then try to monitor and see if it has updated. Yes, it has updated my video. So that's the video is just as simple as that.
So what if the client is using like normal camera? I mean, normal screens without the video wall, and they're
Normal
also having,
screens.
yeah.
You can connect the normal screens to the same decoder. So just know which screen connects to which view. And then you can also have maybe normal screen connected to a PC. And then you just do this kind of monitoring. So you give them something like this. So now there's the variation based on what you have. But if you have the decoder, video wall management is very easy. It doesn't have to be like this typical video wall.
Yeah, I know. The client might have like, I don't know, 10 or 6 different screens connected to the wall, but they just take each one from one HDMI cable. So the decoder has like 16 HDMI ports. So each HDMI just goes to one monitor. So does it also need to be set up like from this side so that it can show on the screens, the normal screens as well?
Okay, if you want it to show on the normal screens, you see, remember when I was creating this?
Yeah.
I did something here. I selected my decoder, and then I dragged and dropped the exact screen which is connected to which card. So you do the same logical binding. So let's say I have 4 screens in one room, you bind the 4. Then the 2 more that are in separate rooms, you bind them logically, and then you understand that when I'm configuring the video, these 2 views, so when I come here, maybe I know this last view is on a separate room. Then you configure cameras for this view. Instead of this, you configure maybe it has 4 cameras. So you know these 4 cameras that I will put in this space are going to be on a different room. So you set the specific cameras.
Okay. And how is there a way to check which parts are utilized under the decoder, or you're gonna have to take a guess?
When you are putting the HDMI cables, you need to note that. You see, like here, it has port 1, 2, 3, 4. But now the way it is arranged, so on the decoder behind, there is these writings. So you will know which port you are connecting to each monitor.
But that's already done. Well, someone else did that.
Yes, like from my end, I know exactly which, like this is the first, this port is connected to the first screen. This port is connected to the second screen. So I know from my connection. So when you're doing the physical installation of the monitors, you also check that.
So if I go, hold on, if I go back on the decoder side, and then it says from HDMI 1 to HDMI 6 is connected, that means the card 1 to 6 is used, right? Or different? Physical, I mean, if I go physically to the decoder. I think you're on mute.
It's not really giving me what I want. So I'm going to proceed. But look at this. So I know HDMI port number 1, I had connected it to screen number 3. So when I'm doing the logical connection, after creating the screens, I drag like this one goes here because I already know that is where it is. This one goes here. This one goes like, you know.
I think your
What you
video
do physically, you also do it on DSS. Okay?
I think now I understand. The physical connection.
The physical connection, you also do it from the logical view on DSS.
So physical connection means if the HDMI is connected to port 1 on the decoder, then card 1 is utilized in that sense. That's
yes,
the logical.
exactly like that.
Okay, perfect. So if I want to add another screen and I have like port 7 open, that means I can create a screen or a video wall on the back on the logical side, which says, okay, card 7 will be used for this.
Yes, exactly. So if you set, you put the HDMI cable on port 7, then make sure that you pick card number 7 and put it on position 7 here.
Awesome. Now I understand correctly. Thank you.
All right. Okay, I think with that we can finish.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you for your time.
If the team has any questions, let me check with the team. Just give me a second.
So yes. If you need to access this, I will switch off the screens, but I will have the server running and I'll also have EVS running. So if you need to access this, I will text in the WhatsApp group the credentials just now before I go so that you can access and play around with it.
Please do. Thank you very much.
Okay.